Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Freedom Friday. Nate here again, ready to discuss some tips and strategies to help you find financial freedom. Today we're going to talk about the importance of having more than one stream of income. Most people, when we talk about financial freedom, it has to do with income. It's extremely important if you're ever to be financially free, is we've got to develop not just a big pile of money, which is typically what people talk about when they want to retire or something like that, but it's how that pile of money or whatever it's invested in, how can it produce income? And unfortunately, not a lot of people are thinking in multiple. Many people just have a 401k and they're hoping they can sell the assets in there to produce a stream of income, and that might be the main thing they've got. Other people may be focusing on real estate, and a lot of people focus on just one stream. And I'm here to encourage you for a couple of reasons. I've actually got 3 reasons why it makes sense to plan on having multiple streams of income and why you might want to do that. So reason number 1 why it's probably really important for you to have more than just one asset really producing income, and that's the fact that there are some macroeconomic issues that can come into play that can wipe out an asset like you wouldn't believe. Maybe you would. We've already been through a couple, whether it's the stock market collapsing in '08, if we're trusting in that, and having it out of our control, just wiping it away, and suddenly you can't count on it to produce income. Same thing for the real estate market, though. Whenever the values collapse and a huge crisis happens, if you're trusting only in rental properties and things like that, that can cause some issues if people, in a downturn, if people can't pay their rents and certain things, and you're expecting the money, it doesn't come in. So there's some things that are out of our control that will affect various forms of income. So if we have all of our income, or majority of it, just coming from one place, and something outside of our control happens to ruin it, then suddenly we're out of luck. So number 1, some things that are macroeconomic that we have no control over can affect it, especially if you just have one. So it's always good to have multiple. The second reason is that, as we know, inflation is that hidden guy who we also are not in control of how inflation is going to operate. We know that what the Federal Reserve and really society itself, we can count on some sort of inflation. Money is losing its value. But there has been times in history where inflation has eroded the dollar much quicker than other times. You know, if you go back to the 80s, inflation was 15% a year or something like that for various points in time. And inflation impacts certain streams of income more than other streams. And so it may, just due to inflation, you may want to have different forms of income, some that may change with inflation. Like annuities are a great tool of income for some people. Very consistent, very little risk involved, very little thought process as well. But once again, many of those don't have inflation protection. So inflation occurs that can wipe the use of that income out. So some forces of income can be affected by inflation more than others. And so because that's going to be the case, it might make sense to have more than just one source, because some will be impacted more than others. Others you can raise your income with inflation. Maybe rents can increase, you know, as inflation increases, but other things can't happen like that. So that's another point that you might want to think of why it's really important. The third one, and the final one that I'm going to do it, is that typically if you have more than one stream of income whenever you're trying to become financially free, it can help you remain much more flexible than if you just had one. So you can actually maybe transition out if we're concerned about the stock market, you know, and the future of it. Let's say, use that as an example, or the real estate market, whatever it is, you know, the Bitcoin market, whatever it's going to be, and we're counting on pulling money from that as an income source. If we're concerned about it, and that's the only source of income that we have, it makes it much more difficult and strenuous to try to sell off that and go somewhere else and produce income, because as we're doing this transition, the income will probably go down, and we may not be so sure. But if we have a few different streams of income coming in, it allows us to maybe transition out of one without hurting the other ones, so we can still move on with our lives earning income and have it not just go to zero as we're trying to make a transition. So there's a lot of great reasons to do it. If you're listening to this and you're an IBC guy like myself and have a lot of policies, you know, the policies are great sources of income, but it might be wise, if that's the only source of income that you're expecting, you know, come financial freedom time, maybe it may make sense for you to try to leverage your policies to find another source of income as well, so that you can have the policies producing borrow against them and maybe buy a rental property or two. Because it's always good to have multiple streams of income. Maybe even lending money could be a good stream of income too. You know, borrowing from your policies to make loans to other people and have loans coming in. Loan repayments, and a lot of us are doing that. So anyway, it's very important as you're looking to secure financial freedom in the future that we don't just maybe count on one, but we have 2, 3, maybe even 4 different streams of income coming in to help you achieve financial freedom in the best possible way. And remember, if you guys don't build it, nobody will do it for you. So let's get to work, and we'll see you next Friday.